This is the first look I got at Baghdad, out the window of a Black Hawk helicopter flying a route known as the Marne Express. Saddam's former capital is a sprawling, modern city with high-rise buildings and interstate-type highways. But on the ground, I saw a different side of this Arabian metropolis. Children playing in puddles of sewage, and goats eating piles of garbage in the middle of the street. Clearly, Baghdad has a long way to go.
These guys are really struggling for just basic needs right now. So sewer, water, power, and trash, those are the 4 areas that we track day in and day out.
Now, I had to get here by Humvee. The route takes you right past the old crossed swords monument that you might have seen on TV before. Huge metal arms that reach to the sky. At the base of those structures, a pile of helmets indicating the Iraqi soldiers who lost their lives in the Iran-Iraq War back in the 1980s. It's been a very busy day for the soldiers of Alpha Company 37 Infantry here in Baghdad. We took part in what's called a medcat, basically a medical mission. The local imam or spiritual leader issued a call over a loudspeaker at a nearby mosque telling people that free medical care was available inside the school. More than 1,000 people lined up, jammed against the gates, and came in to wait to see about 10 doctors who were inside giving free consultations.
Now, Michael got to tag along with the 315 on one of their missions yesterday. After they get their orders for the day, they're off on the streets patrolling, checking on infrastructure and neighborhood concerns, and constantly on the lookout for danger.
What was that?
Yeah, there's, I don't know, it's Ramadan right now. There could be some celebratory fire. We heard a couple gunshots a little earlier.
I was with a group of soldiers in a marketplace in the Karada neighborhood, watching as a restaurant cook prepared a meal to break the daily Ramadan fast. As the sun began to set, we felt a distant rumble and heard an explosion. Soon the sky over downtown Baghdad was blotted by 3 plumes of smoke. We rushed towards the scene to assess the damage. It was already dark when we arrived at the traffic circle around Firda Square. I felt glass and other debris from the triple car bombing crunching beneath my feet. The sound of an imam calling the faithful to prayer echoed from nearby tall buildings, interrupted by the screams and wails of grieving women. We later learned that several Iraqis had been killed. It was a confusing scene. Soldiers who were there attempted to explain to their commander.
You got a cement truck trying to penetrate through the barrier right here, and we started shooting, and you had 3 VBs hit at the same time.
I got guys on the roof. I got an OP on the second. We're securing the bottom floor. We still need to do a search to see if there's any hurt civilians, anything like that.
Now, it's hard to see what's going on in this video, but still pictures illuminated by flashes paint a clearer picture. The burned-out hulk of an explosives-laden SUV. The car of an innocent passerby riddled with shrapnel. Shortly after the blast, Army investigators revealed that the quick actions of one Fort Stewart soldier, Specialist Darrell Green, saved countless lives. When the third and largest vehicle bomb rolled through the blasted opening in the concrete wall, Green fired his machine gun, preventing the driver from plowing into the Palestine Hotel, where dozens of journalists were huddled for safety. I spoke with Green and his commander the following day.
He was trying to make his way to the hotels. I hit him. I know I hit him. I stopped him.
But overall, this was a success. They didn't take down a building. They didn't hurt any U.S. soldiers. They didn't hurt any of the other people inside the compound.
It's about 6 o'clock in the morning now, and the sun has started to come up, but there's a thick coating of dust on everything. It's almost like a fog, so you can't really see anything. Our first stop, a neighborhood the soldiers call the Chop Shop. Basically 8 blocks of car repair shops offering everything an insurgent needs to make a crude roadside bomb. Sergeant Costa and his soldiers dismount and walk between heavily armored Bradley fighting vehicles.
We just come by, to see how everything's going.
A few short conversations with shop owners, and we're back on the road. As we rumble down a major highway, Sergeant Costa and his translator broadcast warnings to drivers with cars parked on the side of the road. Any one of them could conceal a bomb. Ironically, the soldiers feel safer on crowded neighborhood streets like this, where insurgents are less willing to trigger bombs for fear of killing too many civilians. Here, Costa hands out an Arabic business card with Alpha Company's email address and phone number. I asked the recipient what she'd like to say to the families of the Fort Stewart soldiers who patrol her streets.
She says, I want to tell the American people thanks a lot for what they did for the Iraqi people. Thanks for sending or allowing to their sons, to their husbands to be here in Iraq to protect us and give us freedom.
So is she being honest? Maybe. Sergeant Costa admits he doesn't know who to believe here. But in the end, it makes little difference. The troops always keep their guard up on the dusty, dangerous Baghdad streets.
This used to be a headquarters for one of the intelligence services for Saddam. It was basically the equivalent of our FBI. They did internal security and things like that. The prison was actually used for a lot of their political prisoners. That the internal security would pick up mostly people who were dissidents, deserters from the army, things like that. It was basically you got accused, you got thrown in there, and there was a lot of torture that went on. This place doesn't even show up on an Iraqi map. That's how secret it was to them. And now the Americans operate out of it like it's just a regular headquarters. And we drive in and out all day, and Iraqis come on now and get to see things that they never saw, never knew even existed here.
This particular day begins with a visit to several Iraqi police stations. The soldiers sit for a cup of hot tea with a colonel who commands an elite Iraqi commando battalion. But soon they're down to business, showing the colonel pictures of a new type of roadside bomb that's able to penetrate American armor.
These systems are coming into Iraq already complete. In other words,
I just want to make sure that he is up to date with what the problems are too, and that we're on the same sheet of music, because the more eyes that are out there, the better chance we are to resolve that issue.
Our soldiers, Americans in general, if they're going to get in a fight, they like a good old mano-a-mano, toe-to-toe fist fight. We're pretty good at that.
Colonel Funk and his troops patrol an area just south of the dangerous airport road in Baghdad. He says one of the most frustrating parts of their job is the guessing game.
It is a bit disconcerting, and it does wear on you after a while, never knowing where the enemy is, never knowing if the pile of trash that you're driving past is going to explode on you when you get past it, never knowing if one of the thousands of cars that you see on the road every single day is packed with explosives with a suicidal driver behind the wheel and he means to do you harm. That does wear on you after a while.
But if the colonel ever needs inspiration, he need look no further than the 5 color pictures hanging beside the large Baghdad map over his desk.
These are the 5 soldiers that have paid the ultimate price in our battalion right now. I keep them up kind of in chronological order. We lost Corporal Manny Lopez on 12 April. He was killed by an RPG gunner. Corporal Jacob Pfister and Specialist Kevin Wessel were lost the same day to a suicide car bomber. That was on April 19th. On June 11th, Corporal Stanley Lipinski was the victim of a improvised explosive device, a roadside bomb. And then on August 22nd, Specialist Hatim Katiria was killed right here on the FOB by an errant rocket attack. So that's my reality check every day. Glance up at that wall. Remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice.
But with the cost so high and a mission so continually demanding, I asked Colonel Funk if it really is worth the sacrifice.
That's what motivates us. That's what keeps us driving on, because we do see a light at the end of the tunnel. And we understand that despite the dangers, despite the death and the destruction, which is very real, very prevalent, there are so many good things going on here, and we see a very bright future for the country and for the people of Iraq.
A future paid for with American blood, soldiers laying down their lives for people they didn't even know. Millions of dollars in American money has been pumped into projects to improve infrastructure. A new fire station is going up right next to a shantytown thrown up by homeless families. Sewer mains are being placed beneath dirt streets to stop sewage from backing up in neighborhoods. And 27 drinking water stations bring safe, clean water to thousands of people. So these kids are going to grow up now with a whole new standard of living than their parents have ever experienced.
They're noticing something very different. They're noticing that the American forces, the coalition forces, are working with their government every single day to try to improve the services for them.
Back in the air a few days later, as I flew over Baghdad for the last time, I wondered what will become of those friendships and the projects now underway when the 3rd Infantry Division soldiers finish their tours and come back home to the coastal empire. With any luck, they'll hand the mission over to equally capable troops who will pick up the baton and finish the race. Reporting from Baghdad, Michael Jordan, WSAV News 3.